Epic Action, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast. Your source for community building, tournament tips, deck building discussion, and all things Star Wars Unlimited.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Epic Action, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast. This is episode 11, and I'm your host, Raul. With me, I got Nick and Paul. How we doing, guys?
What's up, man? Doing good now.
Awesome.
A little sore.
A little sore. Hockey season. Yeah. So we took a little bit of a week off. That's because I was traveling. I love Unlimited, but I do play a couple other games. One of them is Halo. So I went to Adepticon last week. It's in Milwaukee. It's a huge miniatures tabletop convention, like a lot of world class tournaments, a lot of big vendors are there, GW, AMG. I was there to help judge the Legion World event. That was pretty cool. I got to hang out with the developers of the game, and obviously they can't tell me anything that the public doesn't know, but I could pick their brain a little bit. But it was just cool hanging out with them. I was like hanging with Will Pagani, setting up tables, and we were geeking out about different animes that we both like. So that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Very awesome.
So while I was there, I did get a day off to play one of my games that I've been playing a lot recently, Halo Flashpoint. And there's a group picture. As you can see, I was on the podium. So I got second place. I went 4-0, and I got second place on tiebreakers. So that was pretty cool. And so Halo does this really cool thing in tournaments where you can earn tournament points during your game. So instead of SOS, tiebreaker, stuff like that, that a little bit out of your control, which I don't like, you can actually earn tournament points in your game if you get achievements. So if you are familiar with Halo, if you've ever played a Halo game, these will sound very familiar to you, but double kill, triple kill, quad kill, Avenger, stuff like that will get you tournament points. You can score them once per game. And they're very important because while I went 4-0, I had 61 tournament points. Third place player, he went 3-1, and he had 60 tournament points. So it was a difference of 1 point that I got that second place. First place guy, he got like 670 or something. He was all in, so he definitely deserved that win. And I keep calling them guys, but I actually know these guys. It's Jesse Aiken and Kevin Caldwell. They are hosts on the Truth and Reconciliation podcast, and also they help on Hello There, Shatterpoint podcast. So if you guys are looking, you play either of those games and you're looking for some great content, these guys are awesome. It was fun to actually meet them. We've played online a few times, so I consider myself part of their Truth and Reconciliation community. So it was very cool that the community got first, second, and third. And kind of talking about the meta of that game, you can play either the elites or the Spartans right now, and all three of us were playing the elites. And first and second place. First place and myself both had the exact same list, which was 2 swords, Sangheili, Needler, and a long rifle. So I think we cracked the code as to what was good at that point. But there's going to be a big change coming because an expansion pack called War Games just dropped, and it's going to add points to the game. So before, you're just picking number of models. You can't have more than 2 of any one type of model. Now there's going to be a whole point system. So basically, that was chapter 0 of the game. Now we're heading into the real stuff. But let me just throw up a couple more pictures here. I got this pretty sweet Adepticon medal. They're super heavy metal things that I had fun setting off the TSA alarms when I went through my scanner, because it's a big chunk of metal there. So went through all my nerd stuff looking for it. I was like, yeah, it's probably that. So that was pretty cool. And then let's see, here is a picture of the army I took. So you can see it's four home models, so it's a squad. That's another thing I like about the game. It's small model count, all small board, so really easy to get into. So just wanted to share that. That's why I was gone last week. We were traveling a little. I was traveling, obviously couldn't really have time to do that, but you have other interests, so you guys reach out to us. If obviously we play SWU, but interested in playing this game or Shatterpoint or Legion or anything, I play that. Play a bunch of games. So, but enough about that. So let's move on to what we're here for. SWU. Nick was talking about how he hurt himself playing hockey. Paul was about to tell us how he hurt himself getting up out of bed.
I scored a goal though.
Yeah, man. So we like to open with a little icebreaker, and courtesy of Paul this week, he thought it'd be fun to talk about alternate timelines. What's the question, Paul?
So it might change the timeline. Well, absolutely will change the timeline, but you choose who doesn't get executed during Order 66. I thought this would be a crazy little experiment. It's like there's some obvious choices and some inobvious choices, and I'm excited to hear about your guys's.
Sure, but let's have you start it off. Who's your guy?
I chose probably what I think is the most obvious choice, which is Plo Koon,
Yes.
right? If Plo Koon doesn't die during 66, like maybe there is no Galactic Empire. Maybe Yoda and Obi-Wan and Plo Koon are enough.
Take out Darth Sidious. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of tragic how he died. Like, he's just flying along in his plane. His little buddy wingman dropped back.
Yeah.
Came down.
The Plo Bros.
Yeah. Plo's pretty. He in the movie's not around very much, but if you watch the Clone Wars cartoon, he's very pivotal, especially to like Ahsoka. She's like a mentor to her. So he's like the more calm mentor, where Anakin's like the more aggressive, aggression versus command.
Right. Super level-headed, and I just think that even if the Galactic Empire were to rise, like imagine Plo Koon having a hand in maybe Luke's training, right? And how that changes things, and like, would we ever see a dark-haired Mark Hamill?
Fair. Cool, man. Nick, who are you thinking?
Oh, so all of my favorite Jedi's survived Order 66 or became Darth Vader. So I had to go off the board here a little bit, only because it's such like a visceral scene, and it's more of a flashback because it came out so much later than what actually happened. So if you're used to watching Rebels and you know Kanan and what's real name, Caleb Doom, his master Depa Balago, and that scene in Bad Batch is just, it hits home. Just watching Kanan run from Bad Batch, from the regs. So that would be my choice, only because, like I said, Ahsoka lived, Obi-Wan lived, Anakin lived technically.
Yeah.
However we want to rule that one. So Kanan obviously lived.
Yeah. So this scene you're talking about visceral, it's the start of like a 2-year thing where Disney just wanted to keep traumatizing us, making us see Order 66 from different perspectives. So this is one of them. We saw it again in when I get to my character. It's another point of view of that. Obviously, the Clone Wars like final season I think came out after this. So we got to see that from another point of view. Just we know what's happening. It's sad. She's pretty cool. Kanan, if it wasn't for Kanan and his efforts, the Death Star would still be standing. It all led to him starting the rebellion, inspiring people to come out and fight the Empire. So very important character, and always back to her there. So my character, Gyro T'Pol, another Jedi who got caught in the fight, and he goes out trying Gyro. Yeah, exactly. So the picture's on the screen. Now you can't see it. He is Cal Kestis's leader or master from the Jedi Survivor games. He is actually a Lasat. Yeah, so he's a Lasat. He's the same species as Zeb, and I think this is the only other like real instance, other than like when he goes to the planet at the end of the show, that we see him. So we actually had a in canon Lasat Jedi, big dude, wielding a double-bladed lightsaber, and again, it's a flashback that we see during the game. They're on a cruiser. and the order comes in, and he senses something's off, and immediately tells Cal to run away and like hide and escape, and while he's like holding off all the clones attacking him, so he doesn't survive that. And it leads to a lot of trauma for Cal, which he works out kind of in the game. Yeah. So yeah, that was sort of some of our picks to have survived. So I hope we see all these characters. I mean, we've seen Plo already in Twilight, but I hope we see the rest of these both these characters in some upcoming sets. Which, speaking of upcoming set, we already have some set 5 spoilers. Legend of the Force.
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah, some people are like giving some whiplash because we just came out with Jumps to Lightspeed, but it has been about a month, and we're talking about 4-month cycles, which is not as much as other games. Some other games are getting sets every 3 months, so I appreciate the 4 months. I wouldn't mind if it was 5 months, but I get people will get bored, so I think it's a good like in between, between too many and not enough. So, well, it's called Legends of the Force, and of course, new type of token. You see it on here. It's called the Force. The Force is with you. It's a new type of token that you can generate. You can only ever hold one of it, and different card effects will allow you to create and spend them. So, some pretty cool art there. You see, Luke. What is this? What it was again? The ship rising out of Dagobah. You got Yoda there. Obi-Wan Force Ghost looking on as he's doing it. So. They also revealed the next 2 leaders for the Spotlight decks. So let's start with the good guys this time. We're looking at Qui-Gon here. He seems pretty cool. He's a yellow cunning leader. His action is exhaust, use the Force, and return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. Play a non-villainy unit that costs less than your return unit from your hand for free. So that basically lets you recycle units. You got a unit with like 1 or 2 health left, use them, send them back to your hand, play another unit, and just you're good. It's free. Like you just keep recycling those units. His flip side,
like with ambush. That's where I really go to.
Yeah, and yellow has a lot of ambush, so that's pretty good.
Well, to me, the big thing with Qui-Gon that might be being immediately overlooked is that this has got that special keyword in it. Free. And if you remember anything about free, that means there is no aspect penalty.
Yeah.
We're talking about feasibly exiting with no aspect penalties here, and watch the colors rise. You know what I mean?
Good point. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. So yeah. I enjoy that. So just real quick to finish off his stats, he flips on 6. He's a 4/7, and then when this unit completes an attack, you basically do the same effect. Return a friendly non-leader unit, play a non-villain unit that costs less from your hand for free. So very strong. 4/7 body's great. I hope
I can already hear it now. Everybody complaining that it's a 6 cost leader, therefore unplayable.
Yeah, I mean the 5 cost leaders are definitely dominating at the moment, but that's just other symptoms of the game. So, along with Maul, we are with Qui-Gon. Here are a few cards from his Spotlight deck. So we got Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon ship, and actually the third one there, the Mantis, is from Jedi Survivor. So that's the ship that Cal Kestis rides around on. So that's pretty cool to see. We're seeing stuff from Jedi Survivor, so that kind of makes me hopeful we will see Gyro, maybe even the set.
Yeah.
Which one of these cards you guys feeling?
Version near you.
What's that?
Coming to a prestige version near you.
Yeah. True. Yeah. We don't know.
We don't know what's going to be prestige. Yeah.
Yeah. My prediction is it's going to be the prestige for next set are going to be all the lightsabers, because they kind of mentioned there's going to be special versions of lightsabers, and there's going to be a ton of them. Like name lightsaber, like Maul's lightsaber.
I'd be very disappointed if that was the case.
What?
I think you got so many like characters, and you'll see a few more coming up in the next side. But like, not to get a prestige Obi-Wan, not to get a I don't know how many of these characters are in there,
Right.
but that just seems to me like the Jedi or Sith. That's what, to me, should be the prestige. Like, maybe we can leave Anakin out, but, you know, if it's got a Jedi or a Sith, let's make it a prestige.
Fair. I mean, we'll see what they decide.
Probably the chips again.
Yeah. So, I have here the hero cards that got straight off the spotlight decks. Is there any one of these that stand out to you guys that you really are looking forward to playing?
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Easily.
Definitely Refugee of the Path. I mean, that's going to be in every single deck. I don't know. I think it's good for Obi-Wan. I think Refugee of the Path, just, you play it, Obi-Wan gets a shield token, and he's Sentinel again. So I think it plays very well with that.
So Refugee of the Path, the 1 cost, 0 attack, 3 health. When played, you may give a shield token to a Sentinel. So it's also a Force unit, which triggers Obi-Wan, who's a 3 cost, command, heroism, 3 attack, 5 health. When you play a Force unit, when he's played, it says when you play a Force unit, this unit gains Sentinel, including this one. So that's what he's talking about. It triggers that with the shield. Yeah. So heroes and packages just keep getting better.
Yeah, I'm digging it too, man. I look at both of these cards and immediately I'm like, Luke 1 Green loves this.
Mm-hmm.
And Obi-Wan being 3 cost, 3/5 is just such a huge body. He's a Jedi. He can get the lightsabers. He can, you know what I mean? There's just so much that's going to happen with this set coming up. We're going to be looking at big numbers again, I think.
All right. Well, they also showed off Darth Maul. Have him here up on screen. Red, aggression, villainy, action, use the Force, deal 1 damage to unit, and deal 1 damage to different unit. Very thematic with his double lightsabers. So this is Darth Maul on Naboo fighting Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yeah. I'm much more excited about this.
Yeah. So 6 cost leader, 5/6 body. On attack, he deals 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to different units. So both of them have exact same abilities. But on their leader side, you have to use the Force to trigger it. So on this one too, you have to spend the Force. What are we thinking, guys, about this one?
I mean, I like it. My only complaint would be the 6 booty. It's a little you saw Maul coming out as 6/6 on 6 and having overwhelmed and all that, and he's not playing right now.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I think he's actually a pretty decent card. Just goes back to again, all these 6 cost leaders. I'm not one that believes you can't play them. I just think it definitely is hard to in certain cases. And you got to do a lot more to build around them. So maybe, and that's what I'm looking forward to the rotation, because I think a lot of, we saw in Jump to Light Speed, there wasn't a huge emphasis on those 4 or 5 cost leaders being significantly better coming out earlier. And maybe there's ways to deal with them as well. Versus, Sabine coming out on 4 is pretty impactful. Jango coming out on 5, Boss coming out on 5. It's hard to get past some of that.
Right.
For sure.
Well, that's why rotation's healthy for the game. So here now we're looking at some of the cards that got revealed for his Spotlight deck.
My favorite card so far. Granddaddy Palps.
Oh yeah.
In hollow form. So I'm excited for that. I don't know if it's any good, but it looks like it could be decent. It's just I like the look of the card. I'm looking forward to hyperspace. Hopefully, there's a prestige version of it. That would be what I would argue for. But if they're going to do the lightsabers, I guess cool. But yeah, that would look cool in prestige.
Mm-hmm.
And if you thought Devastator coming out at 7 was good, get ready for Savage coming out at 6.
Jeez. Yeah, what a monster. 9-6 overwhelmed.
Obviously, high risk, high reward. You got to use your force token when played.
Right. Or you deal 9 damage to your own base.
Yeah, and then hopefully you have it. Hopefully they don't kill it when you don't have it. So definitely attack with Maw and get it back. So
right. Well, here is a good example of a card that gives you the force. So it's Drain Essence, blue villainy, deal 2 damage to a unit. The force is with you. So it looks like when they say the force is with you, that it, in parentheses says create your force token. So cards like that's what's going to get you the force, which is pretty cool.
For sure. And
all the bases.
This is such a strong card. Drain Essence, it's one of the things that I think that Vigilance Villainy is missing, which is a turn 1 control play. Right? Yeah. Like, this is a huge boost with being able to use the Force. I know we haven't looked at any blue leaders yet, but I can imagine already that they're... Remember when we were talking JTL and we were talking that control is down? I think control is going to be back a big time in a big way in this set. And this being a spotlight card, you have to worry about Power of the Dark Side on turn 3. You have to worry about Takedown on turn 4, Vanquish on turn 5, Fell the Dragon on turn 4. Nothing on turn 1. You always feel safe on turn 1. There's nothing they're going to play to beat me here. Drain Essence can take some units out that you may not be expecting to go away.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, that's the one I'm like, did blue villainy really need a 2-cost removal?
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, it's a super hot take for one card, so I dig it.
Here comes again. Wait until you see the Drain Essence Tarkin Town deck, and they're removing whatever unit you play on turn 1.
Yeah, or saving it for turn 2 or 3 for a bigger unit.
I think it's hilarious that it can even be a vehicle you can drain essence from.
Yeah, the force is in everything, even the tire treads.
Well, I can just say they confirmed that Pergil we're going to be in the set. They're going to be space creatures, and the lightsabers can attach to just non-vehicles. They're not a vehicle.
Yep. So
Pergils with lightsabers in space.
Yep. So that's the other thing they said that in their video that they're focusing on creatures, the subtype. So it's obviously Legends of the Forest, but also the sub theme of the deck will be creatures. So like Nick just mentioned, Pergils, space creatures, big space whales coming at you. They showed off the Porg 0 cost unit, so little tiny Porg babies running around.
That's gonna be fun too.
Porgs with lightsabers.
Yeah.
Turn 1.
So yeah, spoiler season's starting, so we'll see what we get over the next few weeks. But I think our main attention over the next few weeks is going to be on sectors. So
for sure,
takes us right to sectors. And we got to talk about the big elephant in the room. The results from Milan this past weekend were very, very telling. We see our boy Jango right here. He's everywhere. How many of the top 64 were Jango? Majority of the field.
It's ridiculous. I believe that Jango had a 50% win rate or higher overall the big tournaments that happened. Not just sectors, but overall the big tournaments that happened. And was every bit of the top 8 except for one Piet. So that's pretty telling. And
so people are back to.
It's not even just top 8. It's not 7 out of top 8. It was like 11 out of top 12.
Right.
So and then 13th, I think, was Obi-Wan.
Yeah. So
congrats to the Obi-Wan guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking of Obi-Wan,
he's the one deck that you're. Oh, they pinged you. Oh, okay, I healed it.
Right.
So you can't Arcantown me.
Speaking of Obi-Wan, side note, Legion. Quick. Have to make quick Legion mention of us judging worlds. If Obi-Wan won Worlds, and he's been considered like one of the worst leaders for the longest time. Him and like another unit, the infantry support platform, they won first place in Worlds. So that was pretty cool to see the underdog. That kind of shows the skill needed, not just like the pilot. It's not just the deck or the list you run. You need some skill, especially now if we're going to be going to all these mirror matches.
Right.
I now look forward to that.
Yeah. So let's talk about real quick about what makes Jango such a beast right now. I think, we mentioned it earlier. It's the 5-drop, 3/7 body. That's the 7/7 body is huge. That's a couple of units you got to trade, or not all removal can take them out, especially on 5. So that's a big problem.
Yeah.
We got the ping damage, all types of cards now. One play, deal 1 damage, one attack, deal damage, and it's just you can exhaust everyone's units. But the big one
introduced so much. Yeah.
The big one is triple dark raid into the war juggernaut, and that is just a ridiculous combo with this guy, especially if you haven't flipped. You just exhaust their entire field, do 1 damage to everything, exhaust their entire field, pull, it goes back to your hand at the end of the turn, pull it again the next turn, because they probably haven't killed your Fed, so that's 2 turns of just like whatever you have on the board, it's not going to do anything. So
heaven forbid you have a IG 2000 behind it too to knock out another 3, right? At the same time, like we're triple dark rating it out, so like how many units do they really have on the board while we're controlling their board like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that war juggernaut comes in ready to attack. It's a huge body because however many units are damaged, it's gonna get plus attack. So it's just it's a beast. Plus him, Jango himself attacking, starting turn 5. So I imagine games go pretty quick with all that damage going out. So like our local meta has kind of been, watching this, and last night Nick and I went to our weeklies at your hobby place. Round 1 we got matched up with a mirror match that no one would have ever called, but it was Hera on Hera, Lake Country. We're both playing, slightly different versions of it. And we'll get to that in a minute, but that's just to say, like, people are aware, and like a lot of the discussions going on at our meta and in our Discord, which everyone should join so you can get some deck text going, is about how to counter Jango, and people are just sort of building just counter him. So I'm wondering, how much course correction is going to happen over the next couple of weeks. We have Denver this weekend, so it'd be interesting to see, because obviously we're not the only ones thinking about this. People going to Denver, like Team Seeker. I know Sonny's already on his way there, or already there by now, and I'm sure they have a plan for Jango. So,
yeah, if not bringing Jango.
Let's go join them.
Did you guys see that? Paul probably didn't see it because you're not on Facebook. Some guy was offering courses on how to play and beat Jango for $200. He's like, my credentials were my team. I have a team of 4 or whatever. We made it to top with Jango, and I can walk you through. I can play against you. I can see you play. I can help you deck. All for the low cost €200. And everyone just laughed him off. I'm like, okay, buddy, this isn't magic. No, just
right.
No.
So obviously people are talking about this.
So my thing is, like, when we played Hera Lake Country, I felt like it's decent into pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm behind. When I play Jango, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what could I add to make this even a reasonable I don't know that there's much answers there. I did do some changing from when we played. Added the third Bright Hope there. Got rid of the two.
So before
Echo
you dive too deep into that, which you're about to get into, anything else we want to say about Jango other than this is where we're basically the big boogeyman right now? I know,
it was
my prediction is he's getting the ban, man. That's my big thing. I think he's getting the ban. Unfortunately, Denver results are going to determine that. If he's, 11 out of the top 12 in Denver, I just don't think FFG wants to see that at sectors 2 and regionals, just to continue. And it's yep, all these people made it into Worlds are flying the plane to Worlds off of Jango. Pull up the fire spray, boys. Hop in.
Get in.
The one thing a couple of people had mentioned is Emelon. I guess it was 26-27% of the day one. So you're playing it 2 to 3 times at most, probably. Which if you're playing 7-8 rounds, and you're teched against Jango, then you're weak into everything else, it seems like. So do you give up those 2 to 3 games, or do you, put yourself behind in your other 5?
Right. Well, 3 games and you're out, right? So that's sort of the...
And so you're kind of well, if I tech and maybe win those 3 games, and then all of a sudden, I'm good into that, but now I got to play 5 other games where now I'm behind the 8 ball. Maybe I drop 1 or 2 of those, and you drop a Jango match, and that's it too. So you're kind of screwed if you do, screwed if you don't, kind of situation. I think that's the real hard part. And then, if Denver goes anywhere, I think you see anything get close to 40% on day one, I think that pretty much answers what needs to happen. Ban him, ban Han, because I just think that was the one thing that the minute you ban Jango, you're back to the same problem with Han now. You ban both of those, now it's pretty opened up. And I think you actually get some of these 6-cost leaders that are actually very playable at that point. Even with Quinlan. And I don't think Quinlan's the worst, but if you ban Tarkentown on top of it, then it's wide open.
Yeah.
The suspension list isn't going to happen like this, man. We might see a Jango, but they've already said, we're not banning Han. Or suspending him for that matter. So we're not going to see that until after World Championship, if it happens.
I don't know that that'll be the case, but we'll see.
Yeah. Another thing that some people have been talking about is banning triple dark raid. They think it's too strong, especially War Juggernaut combo. I can see it. I don't know. I don't think that's going to quite fix it. So
no.
I think there's some people with some pretty good breakdowns. I mean, it obviously doesn't affect the 6-drop turn, but hey, whatever. As long as you're not getting it out multiple turns early and just having it sitting there ready for you, and just kind of, people. I don't play Magic, so people have said tutor it out. I guess it's just search your deck for the cards you want, and it's basically. Triple Dark Raid is because it just goes right back to your hand and you got it ready to play, versus something like Sneak Attack, where not only are you playing Sneak Attack and you're losing that card, you're also losing another card on top of it from your hand. So you're putting your hand at disadvantage, and it's only giving you 3 off versus 5. So I think there's a huge advantage you get from Triple Dark Raid versus others. Maybe if you ban Jango. But I think you just saw Piet Yellow be just as much of a problem with Triple Dark Raid.
I think people are happy with that, though. I don't think people are upset about Piet hitting Triple Dark Raid.
No, I don't think they're going to be just as happy. You get Jango out of the way, and now it's just Piat doing the same thing. People are going to be just as unhappy. Yeah, you won't get tapped down, but you're going to pull out some, huge ships that are going to put you way ahead.
I get where you're at, and like I'm taking it in. I think the real issue here is making the game mechanically not fun for any match. And that's what Jango does. And it's not about Triple Dark Raid or Tarkin Town. It is that the card pool at its current state can lock down your opponent on every single turn, at least one of their units, right? So like if you have a plan, if the damage that you're doing prevents any opponent you play against from playing and having a good time and frustrating you to the point where it's like, man, I don't even want to play Star Wars anymore because every time I play competitively, Jango comes out and cooks everything I was doing. You know what I mean? Like competitively, I have to see him. And that's where we were with Boba, right? It was like no matter what we did, Boba came out and cooked it. It was just too strong at 5 with the 4/7 flip, get the resource back, drop the fire spray. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like off to the races.
Yeah, for me, I guess the bummer. It's I don't want to play Jango. It's, I just wish other leaders were just as good. And having this one leader, whether it's Jango or Boba Fett, be such oppressive, leaders and decks. It kind of puts a damper on creativity and deck building, and I guess that's the TCG world. But I'd hope that maybe there'd be like 3 or 4 or 5 leaders that you'd have to like try to plan for, not 1 or 2, which has been the case. And I think when Boba was leading the pack, that kind of turned a lot of people off. That was when I saw the biggest drop in like attendance at our locals, was when Boba was reigning. So I'm really hoping that FFG addresses this sooner than later, whatever they do, to hopefully stop that from happening again. Because
I don't know that was as much Boba as it was.
It was a lot of contributing factors, but
the sets coming out just didn't feel great. The set 1 cards were, obviously clearly far and away better than the next 2 sets. And set 1 cards were hard to get for the newer people. And so, I think that was as much a contributing factor as anything.
I'm not saying it's the only factor. Like it was also like the holidays, like people just weren't playing for like a month or 2, which kills a lot of momentum. But so I think that's good on Jango. Let's talk about what we are looking at bringing to Sector. We got a couple weeks away, less than 30 days. Time to lock it in. I certainly haven't, but here I'll start with what I'm thinking of running. So I'll be honest. Sadly, Jango's the boogeyman, so you got to plan to play him at least for now. So to that end, I'm thinking Leia set 1. I played her a lot. Norma really played her for a long time, so like we got a lot of experience out. That was like the first deck I really played was Leia Rebel Assault, because that's going to help you get around the pinging damage. If you're using her ability, action cheating, gets ahead of Jango's ability to ping you down. So that's why I'm thinking she's good. She's got a lot of new tools in this set. The Leia unit that lets you attack with a pilot or a pilot ship is really great. All the leaders like red leader, blue leader is probably the one that helps the most. The ambush, move to ground for 5. So that one I'm kind of just starting to book, to workshop. I know our local Adam has been really working on this a lot, so he's got a really good deck that he believes in Leia. I think he thinks that that's going to be the one that takes him to the top 64 at sectors. So it's got some legs. Like I said, we know the action cheating is good, and it just was overshadowed by how much faster Sabine was in set 1. So hoping to see her like make a resurgence.
And are you thinking Leia red?
Yes, Leia red. Not Tarkin Town. Probably just a 30-point base. Tarkin Town still in consideration though. That ping to like kill something on their side is good, but it's a straight up aggro deck. You're just trying to get as many units in the field and swing in as fast as you can.
Well, I was just thinking Poe and being able to like knock if you take your initiative before Jango does, and then you go in there and lay an action sheet and just wipe Jango off the map and discard your card, get rid of the War Juggernaut on their hand and whatnot. It's a lot of options there.
Yeah. So, like I said, I just kind of theorycrafted. I actually haven't played it in the new set yet, so that's what I'm going to do next, because what I've actually been running is Hera set 1. And I kind of put this in order because we're going to talk about my deck and we're going to talk about your deck, Nick. Last night we went to locals. We both had Hera. And I got her showcase that once. Like, she's one of my favorite characters. I've been waiting for the deck to finally be viable. I think we're there. I think now she has enough tools to be able to be competitive. And Nick and I are both running very different versions of the deck. Common denominators, Lake Country. More health lets you stick around longer. One of the key cards is the 4 costs of being yellow. Having that Lake Country, guarantees 100% of the time that her 2 damage is going to proctor, because your base having no aspects is going to always trigger that 2 damage. So it was very helpful against last night I played against Jimmy. He was playing Luke Shield Sentinels, so being able to do that 2 damage with her really messed up some of his math. So I was able to attack, knock shield off of the 2 damage, then kill a sentinel, and then I had other units who were able to swing in. Shout out to Rebel Assault. This deck, I have 3 in this deck, and it works. It works really good. Another really good thing, I think I went heavier on the Spectres than Nick maybe does. He does a lot of pilots, but for me, last night I had Kanan out, Chopper, 2 Sabines, the 2 different Sabines, and then I hopped out Hera. So when Kanan goes to attack, that's 5 units on the board. They're discarding 5 cards, and you're probably healing about 2 to 3, depending on what you got. But I didn't mill anyone, but I got close. If I were focusing on that, I probably could. But at that point, I was dealing so much damage. And then Chopper also makes you discard cards from their deck. So helps you get rid of some cards before they become problems. What else? I got Death Star plans in there right now. I think I'm probably gonna drop it. It's a fun gimmick if I can get it off, because you have 2 units and the 2 Sabines that are, if you have the right conditions, or cannot be targeted. So 2 cost red Sabine. If you have a bunch of aspects, you can't be targeted. Yellow Sabine, if she's exhausted, she can't be attacked. So either of those units, as long as you have the right conditions, put that on there, lets you go wide, which is what this deck wants to do. Get out all the Spectres and have a lot of attacks or swing in. Hera pumping up other units is really great. I think I had a game yesterday where I had the Ghost up to 8 or 9 experience points on it, and Jimmy won that game only because he kept putting out those Conquer Dawn Defenders with 2 and 3 shields. So I couldn't get through it. I had this big unit. I would knock his shield off, but I couldn't quite kill that guy. So make big units. Very good. So those are the 2 decks I'm considering running. It's a little different than I usually play, because I'm a big control player. So I built a Thrawn Red deck, played that for a while. I still have it. I still enjoy playing it, but in the current landscape, I don't think it's as good as it could be. Whereas these 2 will give me a better chance to try to get that top 64. So that's it for me. Why don't we talk about your Hera deck, Nick?
Yeah, so I can't believe I'm saying it, that I actually am going to end up trying to play Hera maybe. And I'll get more in-depth later on when I make another Epic Journey video here. But yeah, it's been fun. It started as just throw every Spectre into the deck and then cut from there. I definitely early on cut Zebs out. The yellow Sabine was in there as, the main board, but then I switched to Bright Hopes. I just felt like that gave me a little bit better control of the board. I think mine's definitely set up to be a bit more controlling until you get to 6-7. And then at 6-7, you're just piling on damage after damage after damage. Like I said, I have a bit more pilots in mind. I mean, my pilots are inspectors with Hera, but I also got Luke, Chewie, and R2 in there. And really, it's just like, hey, how soon, for especially R2, like throw down the Ghost, the new one, and then put R2 right on it. And then it's like, okay, well, now everything has Sentinel. Okay, cool. I flip Hera out there. It's a Sentinel. I'm able to attack. I'm able to, give it an experience token, put Chewie on the Ghost, add the Phantom to the Ghost. Now my Ghost is at 22, 15. And yeah, just a matter of time before it gets through whatever Sentinels they put out there. Some people are liking to cheat with Bamboozle. I don't know who those people would be, trying to pay 2 costs.
I mean, I have that in my deck, and it definitely came in handy a couple times yesterday.
Yeah, especially when you're playing 2
right.
2 out of aspect. As opposed to paying the 4 cost.
You're saying it's not a Spectre card? Oops.
Oops, we didn't discard a yellow card. We didn't pay the aspect penalty. Oops. But no, the Chewie's really good on there. I mean, even Chewie on the ground is good. Like you said, I switched to Rebel Assaults in there. Got rid of all the ramp. I had 6 cards of ramp in there. Removed all those. Put Rebel Assault and True Strikes in there. Just the way to push that damage. And then actually have some removal. And that's the big weakness of it. There's not a lot of removal unless you use your units.
Right.
So that's where the Sentinel, like getting the Ghost out, getting Sentinel across the board helps. This is just that, like, a meat grinder of, it shuts down the entire space line, especially if you get the Phantom on there, grit, give it, 3/3, put Chewie on there. Now it's not going anywhere. So, yeah, I think that's where mine kind of differs a little bit. Like I said, I feel good about any matchup except for Jango. And I just don't know what else to do there. And that's the real big thing. Is like, hey, cool. Once they start tapping down the whole board, you can't even just run things into something. And just cheating out those cards earlier, that was like the big killer. Getting the Ruthless Raiders out, the Word Juggernauts. It's like, oh my god. And then you're doing 1 damage. Now you're trading with my unit versus I would have had, board control still. So that's where I'm at with Hera. Cooking up a Boba deck right now. I know I said I would switch to showcases possibly, but we'll see. There's a couple other options I got out there. Vader 2, I guess now. We're only in Vader 2. I got a showcase of that, and I got a Thrawn showcase, so maybe some options there. The trench is not making it
fair for Boba. So I have Boba up on the screen here. What aspect are you thinking for him?
Yellow? Yeah, I think yellow. Yeah.
Yellow's just like so good, like overtuned, I think.
Yeah, I mean, triple dark raid. Hey, throw it out there, put more indirect damage out, or non-combat damage. You don't even need indirect. Ruthless Raider works just as much with Boba as anything else. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's just, I think, could be as impressive as Jango could be, but you're not tapping down. At least it gives your opponent options, choices, things you just don't have with Jango.
Right.
So I think that it'll be very good if they do give the bad hammer to Jango. I think you've got to do it at this point. I think you're going to see Yeah, it was 27 of Milan. I think there's a lot of people out there like, screw it. I don't have a counter. I'm joining. They may not be good, but they're going to do it. So it's going to push, I think, over 30%, easily, if not close to 40, probably. There's a lot of, and then you got Liverpool too. Like, so who knows what? Like, I'm sure a lot of those players playing in Milan are playing in Liverpool too. Hop, skip, and a jump. So,
well, let's move on to some of Paul's decks. Who do you want to talk about first?
I'm gonna first say that please, FFG, Jango is built. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I'm practicing every day. To highlight who I'm gonna play, I'm gonna be pretty brief here. I have a Luke Green that I have been cooking Luke since set one.
Mm-hmm. This is set one, Luke.
This is set one, Luke. I've been cooking Luke since set one, and right when Shadows hit, and I got my hands on Queel and Village Protectors, I went right into watch me do some wild stuff with Mono Blue Luke, and do Vigilance and just double blue. I'm in Luke Green. I'm having a good time. The star of the show is secretly Close the Shield Gate. People may not be playing it like that, but when you are trying to manipulate units and they have big units out on the board, and the shields aren't working for you, you might just need that one turn to get the U-Wing reinforcement out, and Close the Shield Gate can buy it for you very easily. You're talking about for the whole phase. You're not taking any damage. If my board's clean and you got a board full, Close the Shield Gate has shined, and then all of a sudden you're staring down a Concord Dawn Interceptor and a Village Protector on a U-Wing reinforcement at the start of my next turn. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, both those might be getting extra shields. So that's really the idea behind Luke there. I'm sure there's a lot of counters to it, and people know how to play around it, but it's been fun, and it's been putting in work in the current meta.
Yeah. I faced one last night, Jimmy. From our locals, he's trying to go for that showcase. So
me too.
Yeah, that's another reason to try to run him.
Yeah.
Good luck with that 46% convert rate.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Other deck that I'm looking at is OG Han.
There he is.
OG Han in the flesh. And of course, you can go through my PQ season. You can listen to our other episodes. I've been playing OG Han for forever. But I've been practicing and working with a different take than ever, which is focusing on OG Han aggression. So I know a lot of people are running the double yellow bubble, which I've run plenty of times, and Han Green, which I've built to run multiple times. I wanted to kind of go in a different direction and focus on this indirect damage build. Sort of like how Boba does. It's get your capital ships out, get your stuff on the ground that can ambush, and let's do it a turn, 2 turns early, while still maintaining that the tech DJ combo that people hate. It's still there. They hate that ship in with Han being able to do an extra resource, and you can really cheat a lot of stuff out. Not just the home one early, but Tantive out early, and you get the X-Wing. The big card that shines here that's overlooked in this build is don't want to say it wrong, but maybe Radiant 7. Right? Just a monstrous card. It comes out, deals 5 indirect damage. Sure, they can take 5 to base if they want to, but every damage they're putting on units is subtracting from their power. Like, what a clutch card. It can just turn that 9/8 body they have into a 1/8, or, depending on the damage on it. And flip roles here. So I've been having a lot of fun with Han, and that's sort of what I've been doing, getting capital ships out, running the planetary bombardment, lots of indirect damage, lots of small ships that deal the indirect damage early up front. We got our commando friend that's just in cunning that likes to untap easily. I don't remember his name. Help me out, Gorilla.
I don't remember either. Oh, Gorilla, the one that did damage. Yeah. Yep. Talked about that a week or two ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Mando pilot's in there. It's a lot of fun. I've been having fun with it and giving it a shot.
Yeah. Well, it seems the theme here is Paul might still run Jango, but we're trying not to go with the pack here and still kind of do our own thing because I'm hoping to have more fun than anything. It'd be nice to get top 54 or higher, but I'm just I'm looking forward to a lot of games. I already know that if I wash out, I'm just gonna grind those side events and get as many tickets as I can for the prize wall. So
it's gonna be exciting.
It's gonna be fun.
Yes. Right. So, all right. Assuming Jango gets banned next week, what are you playing?
Ooh. Iden Blue. Iden Colossus.
Okay. Paul?
On green.
Okay. I'm thinking on yellow.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. Well, I can finally play it now that I have 3 Millennium Falcons. So
there you go.
I've been waiting.
So, all right. Yeah. So we're also we're in the middle of our league with the Richmond guys. That's been pretty fun. Nick and I have a ranked match this week. We got to play at some point, so gotta figure that out.
We're not counting the Hera League Country one.
Nah, I never said it was. That was my league deck.
I change mine every match, so
yeah. Let me go back to the. There we go. Yeah, just kind of next few weeks are just us practicing. I think we're looking at doing like a weekend Saturday event, whether it's in person or over webcam or something, to just kind of run a gauntlet between us and some of the community members that have been really hyped about the set. Shout out to Adam, Rick, other Rick. Yeah, any other events going on locally?
I get to locals out here in Williamsburg and out in Yorktown at Jerseys and Tap and Roll. And Jerseys was actually supposed to be a Twin Sons event. And so I was super excited. I was like, I got my Twin Sons deck ready to go. Like 80 cards. It's built, Boba 1, Thrawn 1, and they're both in showcase. I'm like, I'm going to go have a good time. You know what I mean? And like bust everything out. And I get there and everybody's like, man, Sectors is in 3 or 4 weeks, man. We're not playing Twin Sons. That's the event listing, but we're all running Premier. So luckily, I still brought my Premier decks thinking that, like, if I'm a little bit later early, I'm going to get a Premier game into practice. So Luke 2. Luke 2 had a lot of fun, and I did that both in Williamsburg and in Yorktown, and everybody there is great in the community. So shout out to Tap and Roll and Jerseys, Cards, and Comics out in Yorktown. Had a great time.
Nice. I did actually take some decks of Adepticon and played a couple of pickup games here. Like my roommate, he kind of dabbled in it, so we like hung out in the hotel lobby and played a couple games. But they actually did have some unlimited official events going on. Like it was more like pickup events, but you can sign up for either Premier, Draft, or Sealed. So I was able to jump into a Sealed event one of the nights that our tournament finished early, and I actually played your deck, Paul, the Luke deck, and popped off really well. I went 2-1. And
real good limited. Real good limited.
Yeah. So that was fun. And got to meet some cool people.
Awesome.
Cool. So I think we're here getting ready to wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
PQ showdowns, any of those just announced?
That's right. I forgot about those. So we have a PQ near us at Battlegrounds in Midlothian. Store that I've been to many times. I've played Legion there a lot, Shatterpoint. So
where is
that? It's near a little bit northwest of Richmond. It's heading south
Right.
from us. But awesome store, awesome staff there. I'm looking forward to whenever the signups go up because I will definitely be going to that.
For sure.
Barring work or anything.
I still can't believe they don't have one in Northern Virginia or DC.
Yeah, it was weird. I asked Tom why you didn't get one, and I don't know if you didn't see the message or not, but maybe they're just trying to spread it out a bit more. But you'd think that they would still get one in that area.
I think somebody was saying the same thing about LA, and they're like, "Why are we not getting two?" And the one that is quite close to LA is like apparently way out in the city. So I don't know. Some of these are. I think they need to do more still on the PQs. I think there's not enough of them really.
For sure.
At least in certain areas. I'm sure for some of the smaller areas, it's probably fine. But like the one they put out games and stuff out in Glen Burnie, like that's not even close. Like whoever thinks that Glen Burnie is DC, like oh wow.
Right.
But
I love Glen Burnie, by the way. Not games and stuff in specific, but let's go Baltimore.
Oh, good luck to our friends competing in Denver. I mean, this will probably get posted while you guys are in the middle of the game or playing or something, but good luck, Team Secret.
German friends out and playing in Liverpool. Good luck, I guess.
Yeah, our international friends, but
hopefully you're playing Jango.
Right.
We'll see.
So yeah, like I know Team Secret's up there, like that Sonny went already, because I was trying to get them on to talk about the battle in Atlanta that just happened, but he was already traveling, so I was like, well, maybe we'll catch it next week or two and do a big recap of that big team event that just happened in Atlanta. That was pretty cool. Yeah, and then locals Wednesday nights, your hobby place Fredericksburg. Come join us. I think it's been a minute since we've been able to make it up to Curio, but they still have draft on Fridays and premiere on Sundays, so definitely go there.
Their time also for me to hit.
Mondays in Mechanicsville.
Yep.
At Waterloo Games. Right. Tuesdays out in Williamsburg, Tap and Roll. Thursdays out at Jersey's Cards and Comics in Yorktown.
Yeah, you've been making the rounds there.
Monday out in Ashburn at Huzzah Hobbies.
Right.
They're doing stuff. I haven't been up there in a little while, but I know Sonny and them like to play up there. So
sure.
And possibly Crimson Kings on Saturdays, guys.
Yeah, if we get a crowd, they'll host an event for us. They got product, they have prizes, so prize packs, the new Pop-Tart packs.
Lots of promos.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's wrap it up. So this is Raul for Epic Action.
I'm Nick.
I'm Paul. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Catch you next time.